This is the Friday Night Fever Afterburn, sponsored by Peden Heating and Air Conditioning.
Welcome to Friday Night Fever Afterburn, week 13 of the season, however you want to calculate it. It's the second week of the playoffs. And we got a few teams advancing and a few teams going home. We're going to dive right into those scores. Kaylee, take us through that first sheet. Basically all of our games tonight.
All but one. Well, this is all of our Class 1R teams. Starting off in Holmes County, the Blue Devils hosting the Chipley Tigers. Slow first half, but Blue Devils hit the Jets in the second half. 26-7 is the final from that one. Staying in Region 1, Boseman hosting Northview, making some history tonight hosting. They go on to win 37-31 late in the game. And then moving over to Region 2, 1 seed Blountstown at home. They sneak by Sneeds with a 7-6 win. Well, Port St. Joe, they were on fire tonight, winning 49-14 over Ailla Christian.
Right, the only other game going on tonight in Class 2 Suburban, those 11-0 Walton Braves are going to finish their season at 11-1. That historic season comes to an end. They beat Pensacola Catholic earlier this year. They couldn't get the job done tonight, but a heck of a year for Coach Keith White and the gang. We're going to go ahead and dive right into these games. We're going to start off with our game of the week up in Bonifay. Holmes County beating Chipley twice this season. Take us to that game, Kaylee.
Yeah. Well, it started out just as we expected it. Ethan Berry, he has looked great with his arm this year, at least in the last couple of games. Big passes in the first drive. They looked like they were on fire. I mean, there's a handful of receivers on this team. It's insane how many weapons this team has. But it would slow down from there. They would go on to score in that drive, go up 7-0, and that would be all we saw from the Chipley offense. They would get some good plays, a lot of penalties setting both teams back. It kind of shifted a lot on Holmes County to begin with, and then Chipley started to get penalized more and more towards the end of it. So that's always going to hurt these teams. But Holmes County, a little bit of a different scheme this week. Landon Lumpkin taking a step away from quarterback, allowing to put him in defense, running back. I mean, you can see him on his feet there. So interesting little game plan for Holmes County. But look, it worked out for them. They went on to beat Chipley for the second time this season. We were talking about today. These two teams met back in 2017, obviously in the regular season. Holmes County came out on top. That was last time before this season. Holmes County picked up the win over Chipley. Well, then these two met the week later in the postseason, but Chipley came out on top. So it's a big deal for Holmes County. We talked about they haven't played after Thanksgiving since 1987. So some history for the Blue Devils.
Wow, a big week up in Bonifay. And that clearly, is a massive rivalry up in the Panhandle. They don't get much bigger than that Highway 90 rivalry. And Chipley looking fantastic. They looked last week like, man, is anybody going to beat Chipley? I'm thinking if I'm Boseman after winning tonight and I see Chipley, winning this hot streak, beating Blountstown, coming in, if they were to beat Holmes County, I'd be like, okay. But Holmes County, that's a team that Boseman's beat handily this year, but that is an energetic bunch up in Bonifay, and it will be a lot of fun next week.
And it's interesting, too, they had Race Griffin in at quarterback for the Blue Devils, and a lot of issues with snapping the ball to start out the game. I know the coaches were really frustrated with it. I saw them on the sideline practicing it over and over again. We didn't get to see the second half. But I just have to think that they kind of figured that kink out. And I know that's something that they're going to be focusing on this week to make sure, they can get the ball moving, especially when they're going to go face a Boseman.
Right. And you can't discount, this might not be, one of those juggernaut Chipley teams, but a lot of talented athletes over there. And, it's definitely
hard-nosed players.
Right. Some fantastic athletes up in Chipley. And Coach Kennedy on the basketball team, I'm sure obviously upset for his football players, but all right, nice. I got all these guys back in my life.
And I think those guys are ready too. I was hearing a little bit of things that they're excited to get back
ready
to
get to the court. But Holmes County, congratulations. You go to the region finals. And who is Holmes County going to face? Well, it is the Boseman Bucks. Boseman with a massive 37-31 come from behind victory. And Northview, they came out of the gate looking tough. They're the defending Class 1R state runners-up. So they went to the state championship game last year. A lot of talented players, a lot of size. They asserted their dominance early. And Boseman's defense, I mentioned this on Friday Night Fever, allowing 13 points per game this season. And of course, we see tonight they allowed 31. So kind of flipping that around. But the offense, bailing their defense out all night long. It's been the opposite kind of throughout the season. The defense bailing the offense out. The offense going crazy tonight. Peyton Gay, Chance Jenkins. You can't find a better duo in Class 1R football. I mean, Jenkins is absolutely phenomenal. We're about to see him more in just a little bit. But you see, Boseman's going to go down multiple scores multiple times in the first half. They're going to go down 14-6 because they missed their extra point. And then cue Chance Jenkins. Look at this kid. He's going to do it on offense, on special teams. He does it on defense. He does it all. We've seen it multiple times this year. And, oh, by the way, he kicked a game-tying field goal earlier tonight. And earlier this season, a couple game-winning field goals.
Yeah.
He does it all. I got to say he's the most valuable player in Class 1R football that I've seen so far this season.
Sam Granville's MVP award.
But it's hard to say that it's not Peyton Gay either. Are you kidding me? Look at the scramble. He's absolutely incredible. They did everything to keep their season alive tonight. I'm over there on the sidelines, and I hear them, every time that Northview scores, some kind of grumbling of like, man, like this isn't, this might not be our year. We had a tough week of practice, and everything's aren't going our way. I thought they might implode, and they just didn't. Boseman didn't implode. They held strong. They've done it all year long. They went into the half down 10 points, and they come back, and they win. Chance Jenkins is the man. Peyton Gay is the man. That whole team is incredible. They're going to the region finals. What do you think of Boseman? Gonna improve to 11-0, the first time they've ever been to the third round of the playoffs. First time they've ever hosted a playoff game.
Yeah, I mean, it's history in the making at Boseman. It's so exciting to see. Talking to this team, talking to Coach Grip. I mean, there's so much excitement here, and hosting a team like Northview's tough. You look at their record; it doesn't look great. They've played a lot of tough teams, and it's the playoffs. They're going to bring their best. And props to Boseman for figuring out a way to win. I mean, that's just the biggest thing. They have so much fight. They're so excited about what the future holds. They have so many weapons on both sides of the ball. Obviously, Chance Jenkins is such a fun story, too. I mean, he talked about just wanting the chance to do something like this, to make a difference on his team, to win. Well, look what he's done this season. It's amazing to see. Obviously, there's a lot of great players on this team as well, but him coming into this program and just what he's been able to do for this team. And I know this group of guys are so close, so tight. And so it's just an awesome, awesome story. And it's exciting to see it rolling. When it was getting a little close, I was worried because I wasn't ready for it to end. But I'm so happy with how it came out. Came out on top towards the end of the game, 37-31.
Right, and you just see from the comments all the support that Boseman has this season. I mean, they are Bay County's team. They're the only team that's left in Bay County right now. The whole county's got to rally around them, whether they like it or not. I know at the end of the year, it's kind of easy to root for the team when you're no longer playing. But, this is a special Boseman group. We've been talking about it for week after week. All right, can they get the record of the most wins? Okay, can they finish the regular season perfect? Okay, I asked Coach Griffin, is this the most pressure that Boseman has ever had in a single game in history? And I think it was. If Boseman loses this game, you're 10-0, but for what? You don't win a playoff game, then what? It's still a fantastic year, but to get to the region finals, this is this is exactly what you say is a historic season at this point.
Well, and you look at it, Boseman loves to hang their hat on, we've made it to the playoffs 6 years in a row, the best in May County doing that. But even you talk to the players and they talk about COVID years or hurricane years and not all of that was for what they did in this season. Well, this year it's for what they did in this season, and they are just electric. And I'm just so excited.
And I do see a correction down in the comments that Boseman hosted their first playoff game in 2016. You're probably right there. I was told this by the coaching staff, so there could have been a miscommunication there. Boseman hosted in 2016, but they lost to Port St. Joe 34-14. So this might not be their first home playoff game, but it's their first home playoff win. So we will give that to them. Their second playoff win ever. They got to win a couple of years back when everybody kind of got pushed into the playoffs, but this is their first actual playoff victory where it wasn't an automatic bid. They moved on to the region finals, and it's the furthest that they've been in school
And now it can be their first time hosting the region final.
Right.
We'll hang it on that because we know that that's
It'll
true.
It'll certainly be their first time hosting the region finals, and what a matchup that's going to be. I know Holmes County, after losing on their home field to Boseman a few weeks back, is going to be looking for revenge. That'll be an interesting matchup as a ticket to the Final Four is on the line. These are two teams where you didn't think that could kind of be in the vocabulary. A win gets you to the Final Four, but that's where they both sit.
And
right
that
now.
game for Holmes County changed a lot of things for them. That's when they said, "Are we too predictable? Let's change up the way we're moving the ball. Let's move these players into positions where they can make a bigger difference." And so it'll be interesting to see how Holmes County has adjusted from that loss and what they're going to bring into this second meeting between the two teams.
Right. And I do see a comment. Did y'all get the video of the final touchdown? We did not. I did happen to see it on the stream. Like I said, Chance Jenkins just making magic happen.
We'd love to see it.
It is an incredible play and probably should have been our play of the week, but we didn't personally get it. So we'll have to dig that up and maybe get that on the news later this week. Or Sunday.
Yeah.
With Kaylee. She'll be here. We're going to head to Blountstown and Sneads. And this one we saw earlier this year, a 7-0 victory in Blountstown's favor. This one, a 7-6 victory. And we do want to apologize for anybody that was watching here. We had a little miscommunication where some clips were getting out of order and we weren't able to kind of, follow along the game like we wanted to. But in the end, it is going to be a very, very close battle that Blountstown wins 7-6. We got D1 athletes all over the field. What do you see from this one as Blountstown just sneaks away with a 7-6 victory?
Well, I know we talked about it last time these two teams met, and it was, what you'd want from your defense is a 7-0 win for Blountstown. I was expecting a little bit more of a offensive game than we got, especially we've seen Sneads heat up over the last couple of weeks and only able to score one touchdown in this game. And we know Blountstown's kind of gone back and forth throughout the season with the offense, still, just working out those kinks in that rhythm. But, we talk about their defense. We've talked about their defense so many times. We highlighted it heavily at the beginning of this season. And I think every other play was, USF commit. Texas A&M commit. And then we have Kentucky commit, Jason Patterson for Sneads. But Blountstown, they really broke through. I know Amarion Hover was the one who got into the end zone for the Tigers in the third quarter. He's been a key difference maker for the Tigers this season. So I know he was excited about that one, making the difference for his team tonight, getting that 1-point victory. I thought it was going to be close, but just a little bit higher of a score.
I see the comment by Coach Nichols down there, old school football tonight. And that's what we said about the first matchup. We hate it because we love lots of touchdowns and to show you, it's a flying ball, interception, touchdown,
Jason Patterson, Marion Hover, Curtis Baker.
But it was 7-0 last time, and this one's 7-6. That's just an incredible showing by both defenses. But only one team, once again, is going to advance to the region finals. And it is Blountstown. So at this point, we have Holmes County, Boseman, and Blountstown. And who else do we have left? Well,
let's find out.
Port St. Joe. They dominate Ailla Christian in this one, and it was a lot of fun to watch. We had this first touchdown's going to get called back, and then the very next play, we're going to see a Devin Catino to the other Chance Gainer, and this is just an absolute beautifully placed ball. We called this our Friday Night Fever play of the night. That's one that we actually got on video, so we could call it the play of the night, the play of the week. St. Joe just putting on an absolute clinic.
Yeah.
They put up 49 points, and it was 35-0 at 1 point. So St. Joe's kind of playing their best football right now. They lost to Sneads a couple weeks ago, but right now they look really good against an Ailla Christian team that, was 9-2, I think, on the year coming into this game.
Finishing with this one,
St. Joe 9-1, good. I don't know if they're going to put up 49 points against a Blountstown team next week, but talk about a young group that's doing some things, surprising some people, getting to the region final. What do you think of St. Joe kind of going off tonight?
Well, when you were going through the Boseman highlights, you talked about the Peyton Gay to Chance Jenkins duo. Well, this is another one, the Devin Catino to Chance Gainer duo. That is an insane duo that we've seen really thriving tonight. And just with these two players, you have Chance Jenkins and Chance Gaynor. If your name is Chance in the Panhandle, you have a good chance. I mean, it's just awesome to see these two guys explode like this season. We've talked about Gaynor before and a jack of all trades, and he can find a way to score no matter what, offense, defense, special teams. Well, he did that again tonight, so it's exciting to see that from him. The last time I saw Port St. Joe in person, they were hosting Boseman. He went down in that game, and I think it was just a tough one for him. So it's good to see him. It was, I don't think, a long injury or anything, but it's good to see him, come back and have such a good game like that. And he's made a statement for Port St. Joe this season. So I hope they can keep it rolling because they have a tough opponent ahead next week, one they've already seen this season. So they got to bring their A game like they did tonight for that one.
Yeah, and again, we're going to have two matchups of local teams next week. It worked out in our favor. We will have two games in the area, meaning we'll be able to go to both of them. We'll be able to go to both Blountstown and Boseman. A lot of fun.
Yeah.
We did, like we mentioned, we did have one more game tonight, and this one did not work out in the one team's favor. This was the only game of the night where we didn't have a local team advancing. That is Walton. Yeah. They had a historic season, but Pensacola Catholic, they just got athletes all over the field. They kind of asserted their dominance, and it got kind of messy as they went up by 3 scores, 21-0, and then Walton had to play from behind the whole time, and it just was too much. They beat Pensacola Catholic a month or two ago. They beat them on their home field. It was the first time that they beat them. Right, 23-21. It was the first time they beat them since 2004. If they would have beat them tonight, that would have been absolutely incredible. But again, Pensacola Catholic just kind of asserting their dominance, and they will move on to the region finals, facing Florida High. I saw down in the comments talking about that being a game of the week with Mr. Brock over there in Liberty County, keeping an eye on that one. But talking about a special senior class, and this was a team that was motivated. It was a team that's had some special things going on, motivated by their faith and their friendship and their family and community. What do you kind of see as Walton goes down tonight? And, obviously heartbreaking fashion, but Walton, incredible season for those Braves.
I know. It's just something you don't want to see. I just want to close my eyes and pretend it's not happening. But it's heartbreaking. It's been a really fun team to be able to cover this season. They've had a great season under Coach White. And, I know to make it further and further in the playoffs has been their goal. So they did just that. They're making a lot of progress, a lot of talented guys, Nuke McKenzie, Jawan Campbell. I mean, it's just endless how many guys they have on this roster that are so talented. Good news, Wells Benhausen will be back next year for the Braves. He had a great season transferring over into this program. I know the guys were so happy that he joined this team. Heartbreaking loss, but they've had an amazing season, exciting season. You talked about the faith, the friendship, the family, everything. It's just been a storybook season for Walton.
Right, and we're going to miss those seniors. Nuke McKenzie, a very, very talented athlete. Yeah. A lot of them over there that still have a lot of football left to play in their careers. But that now brings us down to 4 total teams. We came into the night with 7. It brings us down to 4 total. That is Region 1's Holmes County going to Boseman next week. We'll have to see if that's going to be a 7 or a 7:30 kickoff. They've been moving some of them up to 7, and I like that. It gives us more time to get some highlights.
They're not traveling far. It's just a 30-minute drive.
Not bad from Bonifay to Boseman. I hope it's a 7 o'clock kickoff, though.
Make it 7.
And then Port St. Joe, they're going to be coming from the Eastern time zone up to Blountstown. That one will be the Region 2 region final. So we have gotten to a point to where we are guaranteed 2 teams in the Final Four. The last 2 years, we had Chipley go to the Final Four in 2021, and we had Blountstown go to the Final Four last year. A win puts them right back in the Final Four. But Boseman and Holmes County, 2 teams that certainly it's been a very long time for Holmes County, and Boseman has never done it. So it'll be very interesting to see how those matchups play out. What do you kind of see from those 2 matchups before we head into next week? Maybe not a prediction, but just kind of how do you think the 2 match up?
Yeah, I mean, they're games we've already seen this season, these 2, but as we know, it means nothing. The regular season, and the postseason are so different. It's last call for these teams. The saying is always, you want to be playing after Thanksgiving. You want to ruin Thanksgiving and play on Thanksgiving. And so, it's really going to come down to who wants it more with all of these teams. History in the making for both Holmes County and Boseman, and Blountstown wanting to make that trip back again. And we know the Port St. Joe Blountstown's a deep-rooted rivalry, so what better than to upset that and make your trip to the Final Four? So it's going to come down to who wants it more. And this week, having the week off from school this week and focusing on football, I think it's going to really show who's headed in the right direction on Friday night.
Right, and I know those 4 teams don't want to get too far ahead of themselves, and be looking at, okay, who are going to be those Final Four matchups. But I was trying to look at who won tonight and who advanced, and I did see that 1 seed Williston, they're the number 1 team in the state, they did advance tonight. And then 3 seed Union County. So I don't see the results of Madison County versus Lafayette. I would assume Madison County probably win, but I don't have the results there. Union County, they advanced to the region finals. Williston advanced to the region finals. I don't see the Hawthorne and Newberry score. That is the number 2 versus number 3 or maybe 5 team in the state down there. So a lot of very, very good football teams down in that area. But we'll wait until next week to kind of figure out those Final Four matchups.
Madison County won 60-7.
Madison County won?
Yikes.
Sweet. Like I said, I assumed, but you know what that happens when you assume. That is going to do it for us tonight. This was our last Friday Night Fever of the year. We will no longer have the full production on Friday night with WMBB until next year. But we are planning on coming back for Friday Night Fever Afterburn next week after our 2 matchups to talk about those 2 teams, whoever they may be, going to the Final Four and breaking it down all of this. So for you 4 Class 1R teams, hang with us. We plan to be back next week, and hopefully we can kind of hang out on Friday nights until all of our teams are either eliminated or state champions.
And thanks for keeping us local. We love that.
Right. And like I said, we've only had 1 team going to the Final Four, the last 2 years. This year we're guaranteed 2. So that's a lot of fun. Panhandle is showing out for sure. If you want to see the highlights of all the games tonight, check them out on mypanhandle.com. Thank you for your support. We've really enjoyed it a lot this season, and we will be back next week for Week 3, the region finals of the playoffs.